The right to vote is fundamental to American democracy. It is the cornerstone of our freedom. When we cast our ballots, we raise our voices. We shape our future. Protecting this right is not a partisan issue. It is an American imperative. Our nation has a long and complicated history with voting rights. From the very beginning, certain groups were denied access to the ballot box. Women, people of color, and those without property faced significant barriers. It took decades of struggle and sacrifice to secure the right to vote for all citizens. We must never take our right to vote for granted. Forces are constantly at work trying to restrict access to the ballot box. We must remain vigilant and fight back against any attempts to suppress the vote. Our democracy depends on it. In 2021, Georgia passed a controversial election law. This law introduced a number of changes to the state's election process. One of the most controversial provisions was the requirement of a photo ID to vote absentee. Critics argued that this requirement would disproportionately disenfranchise minority voters. Another controversial aspect was the limitation on absentee ballot drop boxes. The law reduced the number of drop boxes available in certain counties. Critics argued that this would make it more difficult for people to vote, particularly those who work long hours or lack transportation. The Georgia election law sparked outrage and legal challenges. Civil rights groups and voting rights advocates filed lawsuits. They argued that the law was discriminatory and designed to suppress minority votes. They sought to overturn the law and protect the right to vote for all Georgians. The fight against voter suppression is not new. Our nation has a long and shameful history of denying citizens their right to vote based on race. From poll taxes to literacy tests, discriminatory measures were used to keep Black Americans from exercising their right to vote. The Voting Rights Act of 1965 marked a turning point in the fight for voting rights. This landmark legislation outlawed discriminatory voting practices. It helped to ensure that all Americans had equal access to the ballot box. However, recent years have seen a resurgence of voter suppression efforts. These efforts often target minority communities and aim to make it more difficult for certain groups to vote. These tactics include strict voter ID laws, limited early voting periods, and purging voter rolls. These measures are a direct assault on our democracy and must be challenged at every turn. Despite the challenges we face, we must never lose hope. We must continue to fight for our right to vote and for the integrity of our elections. We can make a difference by staying informed, getting involved, and making our voices heard. Stay informed about voting rights issues in your community and across the country. Educate yourself on the issues and the candidates. Share this information with your friends and family. Get involved in voter registration drives. Volunteer as a poll worker. Donate to organizations that are fighting to protect voting rights. Every action, big or small, can make a difference. Our democracy is at a crossroads. The right to vote is under attack. We must rise to the challenge and protect this fundamental right. Let us honor the legacy of those who fought so hard for our right to vote. Let's ensure that every eligible American can exercise their right to vote freely and fairly. Our democracy depends on it.